You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing daily, hopefully. Hello, it is Tuesday the 30th of July 2024. You're listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, and I'm actually outside on location. I mean, it's not that exciting. I'm next to a road, so you can probably hear traffic when it gets quieter, when the traffic isn't going past, because it is only 7 o'clock in the morning here. You'll probably hear birdsong. But I thought I'd get this done for today, because it's quite a busy day today. So today's the day we fly from Singapore to Sydney. It is an overnight flight, so we don't actually leave until much later on today. But between now and then, I need to get some sleeping done and a few other bits and pieces done. I want to do a little bit of writing. I'm on my way to breakfast now. Once again, this is the second take of an outdoor podcast, because the first one, I forgot that for some weird reason, if I try to record with Bluetooth connected and I've got my headphones in, it turns my headphones into a terrible microphone, which it did on the first take of this. So I've now turned off every connectivity on my phone, and hopefully I'll remember to do that in the future as well. Anyway, so plan today. It's about 7 o'clock in the morning here in Singapore. My absolute plan today is to... Can you hear birds? Don't know if you can. My plan today, so I'm about to have breakfast. I'm just wandering around the street near where I have breakfast because originally take one was me walking from my hotel to the breakfast restaurant. But anyway, we'll ignore that. So my plan today is to get a bit of writing done before I go to work. I have worked out now that I'm only about 2 or 3 scenes away from the end of chapter 33. I did have a chapter breakdown which was incredibly overcomplicated, and as I've written, I've kind of streamlined and made it less complicated as I've gone. And that wasn't a deliberate thing. There was just moments where I thought, well, that's a bit OTT and I don't need to do that. And I've just gone through the plan, and the plan is this has got to happen and this has got to happen and this. And actually only really 2-3 things need to happen. So that's 2 or 3 scenes. So I need to write one more scene with the entity that's inhabiting Mackenzie in the Arboretum. It's going to finish taking the information about Project Yankee from his mind, and it's then going to say, look, this guy's in pain and he's dying. Don't mess about. Just do it. Just put him out of his misery, because he's going to die. We're not going to save him. Just let him die. And obviously Sayers, who's the only person present, is a horrible, unsympathetic man. Also, he's a scientist, so actually killing people is not something that he has anything to do with, so he's not going to want to do that. But anyway, so it's going to be effectively a scene effectively saying goodbye to Mackenzie. We then have a scene in the woods. So the Arbor Associates, sort of private army, have been, that's the word I was looking for yesterday, private army, have been taken out. Most of them are dead, and all the good guys, so the regular army guys and my main characters, have been captured by people working for the Red Victor Party, and the only way they can get help is to get absorbed by a tree. So when Ursula trips over and hurts herself, the Arbor guys are like, the Red Victor troops are like, well, we haven't got facilities to fix her anyway, we've got rudimentary medical facilities here, might as well kill her. And Ron is like, bit harsh, but okay. And everybody's like trying to keep from their faces, on what you're talking about, love, because the idea is basically Ursula's fallen down and she's propped up against quite a large tree. So once the other people get out of the way, the tree will absorb her, especially if she's injured. The tree will absorb her to try and fix her, and she will be able to communicate exactly what's happened, which means then the trees will be able to send out their wood warriors, their Skuld, to try and then rescue Ronnie and the others. So, of course, it's only Ronnie that's worked this out, and the only other person that would know this would be Ursula, and she'd be complicit. But obviously, they're not going to explain this. They're not going to explain that, by leaving this body up against the tree, we're actually going to get help. So there's that scene, and I think there's going to be a bit of tension, because I think Adrian Vickers is going to be like, Jesus, I didn't know you were so cold. You just effectively had that woman killed. That's appalling. He's a soldier. I mean, he's not unused to the idea of death, and he isn't bothered by it. And even though he's a Yakunda and a good-souled human being, he's still... Death per se doesn't bother him, but he finds this particular instance a little bit hard to cope with. And then I'm considering doing a final scene
which is effectively from the tree's point of view, with Ursula being absorbed and asking for help. So I'm currently on 5,500 words. I'm not quite sure how many more I need to do to finish the chapter, but it's going to be, I don't know, 2,000 max. It's 3 scenes, only one that's going to be of any real length. And once I've done that, my plan is, and that won't be finished today, by the way, very unlikely that'll be finished today, because my plan for today is it's 7 o'clock in the morning here now. I'm going to finish this. I'm walking around in circles outside the breakfast restaurant that I'm going to eat in, called the Coffee Bean and Tea Leaf, which is a 24-hour restaurant, so I could have gone earlier, but I'm not hungry until now. Anyway, so I'm going to have my breakfast, maybe do a bit of writing. Then I need to get some sleep, because the flight to Sydney is an overnight flight. We'll arrive, I think we were one of the very first flights into Sydney Airport tomorrow, actually. I don't know if we're the first, but we're one of the first. I need to be awake and alive for that. And then over the next couple of days, hopefully I will finish this chapter. And then, of course, because I've moved on to my Write Edit model, I will edit the chapter straight away instead of moving on to chapter 34. So by the end of this work trip, which will see me then after Sydney, coming back to Singapore, I will then come back here and eventually get home on the 4th of August. So that's my plan, really, to try on this trip and get chapter 33 signed off and hopefully get chapter 34 started. That's the plan anyway. Anyway, that's me 6 minutes. Hopefully you can hear that I'm not sort of in the normal position, the normal place for recording these. It sounds like I'm outside. If I'd thought about it, and maybe I'll do this on the way back in Singapore, it'd have been quite nice to record it somewhere like the Botanical Gardens, because you wouldn't hear a lot of traffic noises. You'd just hear a lot of bird song, which would probably be nicer than hearing buses and cars revving past on their way to work in the morning. But yeah, that's me done. Thank you for listening. I will be back at some point tomorrow, hopefully from Sydney. Take care. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.
You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Writes, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.